So we want to continue with the large areas of general regulation with the collar zone, and what we're going to actually work with is the 735 slider X2. I've actually, you'll see how to do this later in the how to operate these devices, but I've rotated the screen. In other words, I've flipped it so it makes it easier for me to read standing on this side. We're going to do this in objective mode. Again, we've got three areas that we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at this collar right here. We're also going to look at her forehead and the adrenals. So we want to actually start with the technique. We're going to use objective mode for measuring. Again, we're not doing right on the spine. We're just doing to the left side first and then to the right side. So we'll start right at the base of the occiput. That's measuring 17 because we're in objective mode, 37, 14, 14, 38, 30, 17, 8, 15, 14. So our highest was actually right here.
38.
So we're going to dose that.
38.
38. And once the dose is complete, we're going to start and do the opposite side. So again, we start here, and we're just taking the measurements from the active search area. It was 35, that's 36, 33, coming up here, 12, trying not to get in the camera, so I'll just actually look at the readings. And you can do this, by the way, 38, 35, 29, 25, 25, fairly consistent there, and 47. So actually this one wins. So we go here and we wait for the dose. When the dose is complete, we're done. Now we could have done that subjectively, by the way, by just painting down and looking for the asymmetry, right? So just like this would be a subjective way to do it. And we'd be looking for, again, the asymmetry. Well, you notice we dosed one on the left and one on the right. So again, a little bit like the three pathways, we're just not dosing on the spine. And what I found was right around in here this time. So I would dose that. I would come over on this side if I was doing subjective and do the same. Just looking for that small asymmetry. So I'm just going to check that again. There it is. I get more right here subjectively. So this is where I would dose it. So with this, we demonstrated, just because we are happening to do that, shooting the video, but we demonstrated the objective first and then a subjective. You'd only do one, you wouldn't do both. So you either do subjective if you want to try to find it that way, or objective, but you wouldn't combine them. There's no need to. So we just completed going down the back of the collar zone. The next part of the collar zone is actually to treat the forehead. And it's the same thing. You have kind of a dividing line going right down the center of the face. So you're going to start by going on the left side. We're just going to make the measurements. Remember, we're doing this actually objectively, so we're taking measurements. That was 4. And we'll take the next one. Oops, I had a little hair in it. 7, 1. So 7 is the highest on this side, so we're going to dose that. And we would allow it to go to complete dose, and then we would move. So again, on this side, we're going from the center line over, and we'll do the first is 12, second, get contact, I must have hair. Doesn't like hair. 3 and 19, or no, 13. So 13 is the high. We come back and dose it. Okay? And we would leave it until it's dosed, and we'd be done with the forehead. So we can also do this, by the way, in subjective mode. We would simply go from the center out and go on this side and feel for where we feel it dragging the most and dose that point. We would do the same on this side, moving it until the electrodes drag, just like we're doing, searching for the small asymmetry, and seems like right here. So this would be the area that I would dose. And that completes the forehead portion. The next part will be going to the adrenals. So we've finished on the shoulders. We went on the forehead and we did the same as here. We chose 1 point on the right, 1 point on the left, and we dosed those. We did the same on the forehead. The last point that we do on the forehead, and the technique that we actually use, is to actually dose the third eye. So now you actually have 3 points on the front, you have 2 here, and the last 2 are the adrenals. So the rib cage kind of comes down around T12. Here maybe a couple inches over. So you want to just dose the adrenals. So you dose the one on the left, and you dose the adrenal on the right. So you notice on this technique, we basically had 2, 3 on the front, so we've got 5, and 6 and 7. So there's 7 points to dose. Sometimes that can take a long time. So if you want to drop dosing certain points to economize on time, dose the points on the shoulders. On the forehead, go ahead and skip a point if you want to, and dose 1 there, and then dose the adrenals. And that may help you take a little time off the protocol.